We're live?
We're live.
Awesome. I love that. This is our regular everyday life. We're live on like 8 different systems right now. But thank you, everybody that's joining us on the cellulitebook.com. And I'm so sorry if you were expecting somebody really famous to be on tonight. Joanna and I are just the girls next door that somehow, through a miracle and the grace of God, became the first unknown authors in history to have a #1 best-selling book the night we launched. And it's all because of this plastic stick and the group of amazing women who've gotten behind the movement and the science and helped us to get here. So Joanna's my co-writer, the lovely Joanna Hunt, and I am Ashley Black. So give them the lowdown of kind of what we're going to do tonight. Like kind of give them you're the rules girl.
Yeah, no, I'm the rules girl and the game girl and the sorority girl on our book tour. But welcome to live signing. So what we're going to do is, hey, sign books. So this is our way of saying hi to all of the audience that isn't going to be in the touring city. If you want to get a signed book, this is really the only place to do it. And so if you want to order a book that we're signing right now, we're going to share some stories. You'll get a sneak peek behind the scenes. We may take some questions. We may call a lucky viewer. We're just going to have a lot of fun, and you're going to get a chance to kind of, like I said, see the behind the scenes. We're going to sign books. So go to make sure I say it right, thecellulitebook.com if you want to order a copy, and we're just going to have a lot of fun. So we thank you for joining us, and you've signed the first book. She did it. Ta-da!
I love this, but I have to tell you, I literally am having hand cramps. I just said I should have.
It's going to be a long night.
My blasted arm. It is not a joke, you guys. It actually does cause orthopedic issues to write too much. Writing is not something that I do in my normal life. And we just got back from Atlanta, and I bet we've signed collectively about, 6,000 books.
A lot.
And taken an awful lot of selfies. But I think what I want to talk about on the live signing, because this is really all about being an author, and in our case, the #1 best-selling author. I think people are so curious, like, how does that happen? Because I think that people, first of all, think that you just write a book.
Just write a book.
And that is not how it happens at all. Like, there's a really long story, and we'll give you some insights on how all of this happened. But for me, this book began in childhood, and in fact, some of the flow of the book, resembles notes that I may have taken when I was 10 years old, because I was born with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And then later in life, I was stricken with this heinous, deadly infection. And I was just, even with the knowledge of being a personal trainer and being a competitive gymnast and all that, I was just kicked to the curb, not on purpose, but there was just no solution to help my body. Okay. And you have a similar story too.
But that's like a complete understatement. Ashley's like, okay, this is my normal life. I was like crippled,
like
left for dead, been in and out of wheelchair, crutches, on and off crutches, like that's her normal. And so there's a lot of people who've heard about the fascia blaster and have heard about this book, The Cellulite Myth. It's not fat, it's fascia. And you see this adorable blonde lady running all over the country, fixing people, working on pro athletes and celebrities and changing lives. I mean, if you're 5 minutes on the Facebook page, you see testimony after testimony after testimony after testimony of how people, women particularly, are being empowered through what Ashley has to offer. And she's like so humble and nonchalant about her. How many surgeries have you had? Let's start there. How many surgeries have you had?
22. You wrote the book.
22. She's like, oh, I've had 22 surgeries. Okay, and what's anybody else's excuse? But yet she's a surfer, she's a snowboarder, she's, all over the place. So let's start at the beginning. Let's hear your story.
I think the most crippling thing that I have to do right now is fly on airplanes on a regular basis.
And sign
books. That's the most worst thing that you could do for your fascia. But yeah, I always do kind of run through my history because, like Joanna said, I mean, it really is my normal, and I've told the story a million times. But yeah, I mean, I was just a debilitated person looking for answers, and what I found out that there's like not only a lot of other debilitated people without answers, but there's just people who are trying to be fit and young and beautiful, and they don't have answers either. So the answers that I found for myself are now part of this amazing book.
So they told you she had juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. You said JRA. Maybe people don't know what that is. So.
Yeah, juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And me and Joanna are both moms. So you can imagine I was terrified that one of my children was going to have it.
Yeah.
I was, 4 years old the first time I became symptomatic. And I remember, this is back in the 70s, y'all. I'm 45. So I remember the shag carpet. You remember that? It was actually, I'm pretty sure it was yellow and black mix. My mother would have to chime in. But I remember waking up feeling like I was burning. I don't know how else to describe it. And then I clawed myself, along the floor to my parents' bedroom. You can imagine the horrific, as a parent now, that would be horrifying. And then it took them from 4 years old to 4th grade. What's the span of that? I don't know, 5, 6 years, to diagnosis as juvenile rheumatoid arthritis.
And they told you you'd be in a wheelchair by the time you were 30.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody gave her any
Yeah, I
hope.
was definitely not given a go get 'em kid. And also, I am the kid that absolutely hates needles, being prodded on. I think I have some kind of PTSD from that as a kid. But I remember, I like to tell stories in picture stories. I think it paints the picture.
Yeah.
But I remember, my parents taking me to the doctor, and I would just, get in a split or do a back handspring and be like, I'm fine. I don't need my blood drawn today or whatever. So I think that anybody who has a child that grew up kind of in that doctor system, or was a child that grew up in that doctor system, it's your reality when you're a kid, but it's really not very fun.
Yeah.
And you kind of learn that, hey, wait a minute, he told me I wasn't going to be able to do that, but now I am.
Because your body would go in cycles. You would have spells where you were active and participating in sports, but then you would have a spell of the arthritis and you would be debilitated. And so what was that like for you in school and with kids growing up? I mean, here you're dealing with this, and now what was your social circle?
Well, let me say this, people always tell me that I have really thick skin, and I think it definitely developed when I was a child, because, when you see a kid on crutches one day and then they're totally fine the next, you get made fun of, or people just don't understand it. They don't understand the illness. So I think that I kind of learned the skills that now I face sometimes in the internet space or whatever. Those are skills that I developed as a kid.
Growing up.
Yeah, growing up. So I feel like my reality of a childhood was just different than a lot of people's, but I also think it made me stronger. When people always ask me, what was the moment you're most proud of, and I think the moment I'm most proud of is after I had this infection. I wanted to die. It was so painful, and I made the decision, and I prayed, and I said, hey, look, Jesus, take me down or give me away. And I believe that this book and what we're doing with this movement is my purpose. It doesn't even feel like a job most days.
Okay, so all right, so we have to back up.
Except for when we write the book, then it feels like a job.
You have to sign all it. So back up and talk about the infection, because you were how old? 20?
I just had Maddie, and she's 18.
So fast forward, you've been able to kind of manage your symptoms as best as you can, but you're still having hip aspirations and treatments to help you with your pain.
Well, I mean, I really look at the protocols. One of the things to use the tool that has kind of started this whole scientific movement was heat. That was heat and cold was something that I already knew as a child. I think I remember reading an article one time that was about Bruce Jenner and what he did to train for the Olympics at that time. And so even as a child, I was doing things like that. I was charting my food. So I would say that I overcame a lot through things that are very acceptable now. People chart their food all the time. Mm-hmm. People take out gluten all the time. But we're still talking about the 70s and 80s. That just wasn't even around. I remember the big diet was when Snackwells came out and you could eat cookies and they didn't have as much fat. I mean, for somebody who's younger, we have to really think back to what that time period was really like. And when I was 27 and having a child, I was pretty healthy. I remember with Maddie, who's my daughter, who's 18, I was teaching aerobics. I specifically remember the gynecologist being in a kickboxing class, and he was like, you are just going to kick and that baby's going to fly out. So I was really in shape at the time when the infection happened, and I had Maddie, and something with the birth triggered a flare-up, and it was unbearable pain in my hip. I go in for a hip aspiration and I come out with an infection in the bone marrow that spread into my nervous system. And
okay, wait, stop. Okay, again, it's like
I'll sign while you talk.
Past the salt, I almost died. Okay, because that's Ashley's normal. She's just constantly conquering things. So hip aspiration is a draining of the fluid of the hip,
yeah,
correct?
It's just a needle. It's a really simple procedure. But, you know, at the time we had, this was in Houston, Texas, and in Galveston there was like this very strange bacteria that was in the ocean. And so that became
osteomyelitis
in the hospital, and then that's what entered into my my hip. But the hip, we can flash forward. It eroded. I've had it replaced. They had a hard time getting the infection. They used this thing. It looks like a ditch digger, and they just start plucking out your dead tissue.
And it ate through 3/4 of your hip and spine.
Well, like it ate through 3/4 of my hip in about 24 hours. You know, it was really aggressive.
Serious.
And you know, I'm really lucky. The doctors at Methodist Hospital were amazing. And they helped me through the survival part. It wasn't the survival, it was the thrival afterwards.
Yeah.
But you know, when people talk about having any type of infection in their spinal fluid, it's, you know, you're talking about bacteria on your nerves, so you have like mad cow type symptoms. So you can imagine how scary this was. I actually just saw my parents in Atlanta, and you know, we were talking about it, and everybody was like, you know, I think everybody kind of thought we need to prepare ourselves for her to not make it. It was a really deadly situation. Obviously this is part of my history, so it doesn't, you know, seem scary or terrible. It's actually something I'm proud of, and I'm glad that happened to me because it gave me my space in the universe and my purpose. But at the time, you know, I got a 2-year-old and a newborn, and you know, I almost didn't get to see these babies grow up.
And so you completely lost all your muscle tone, your awesome body that you worked so hard for.
Oh yeah, I was really in shape. You know, I remember I was so proud. I had only gained 16 pounds with the baby, and you know, from the back.
I gained that with dinner last night.
Well, you know, times have changed for Ashley. I can't seem to get a regular meal or workout ever. Luckily, I have some water tonight, but you know, I lost everything I had ever worked for, and also everything up to that point that I knew to do, like the way that I would train, you know, the way that I would stretch, my hot, cold routines or whatever, those type of things. And 10 Vicodin wouldn't even scratch the surface of taking the edge, you know, off of the amount of pain that I was in.
Okay, so
it's not that it was just near death. Like one of the things I think is really helpful now when people reach out to me and say, oh, I feel this, or I have sciatic, or you know, I have migraines, or I have that. I've had all of that, like, and I can really resonate and understand at a much deeper level what people are experiencing. You know, we have people on our page, you know, that were in bed for, you know, a year or more, and so that really speaks to me.
Yeah.
But almost immediately after I started studying fascia and started creating the techniques for myself, we didn't have the fascia blaster. I was doing this with my hands to myself. I started working with other people. And, you know, what I quickly found was that, like, this was almost like magic. And it wasn't because I am some mega, you know, guru. I really wasn't at the time. I was just somebody trying to help people. But this little piece of knowledge about this system of the body called fascia, you know, it turns out that it's a huge piece of the entire health paradigm that we just missed. And when I say missed, I mean missed. You know, I have medical professionals on my staff, and we just did a piece for a TV station, and everybody was chiming in about how, yeah, you know, I'm a MD and I never had even heard of it, or I teach massage school and there's one paragraph in the book, or, you know, I'm a physical therapist and we're just starting to get it in the textbooks. I didn't learn it when I was in school. So, you know, I have mad respect for every other field, but we got to go back and revisit anatomy and physiology, because if you learn it without the fascia, it's like
you're missing.
It's almost like learning colorblind or something like that, and then you have to go back and go, okay, there's colors exist.
Okay, so the rest of your story is in the book. So if y'all get the book and you want to hear,
she wrote it. So that's why she knows it so well.
I know the story a little bit, and so if you want to hear how she jumped from getting out of bed to treating pro athletes, celebrities, billionaires, and all those people all over the world, you have to kind of just read it in the book. But let's talk about fascia. You know,
fascia, let's talk about fascia.
Has been, Leonardo da Vinci was doing drawings with the fascia in it way back when. Y'all didn't know he was a grave robber and
yeah, if it wasn't
dissected
illegal
bodies.
right for me right now, I would for sure be digging up bodies because I'm fascinated with the human body and anatomy. And
you've done dissection.
Yeah, I've done dissection courses. Yeah, I haven't personally done dissection, but I've done the courses. And when I was learning about it, it's this simple. You know, it's the work of Tom Myers, who's this amazing, I'll call him a fasciologist. He's an osteopath, but he pioneered really mapping structural fascia. And with the way he explains it, so I'll just use his words, is like instead of going into the dissection and cutting things out, he's like, we did it layer by layer. And it's like, why wouldn't you do it layer by layer? And when you see that, wait a minute, that piece at the foot attaches at the knee, it comes through the hip, it crosses over around your back into your neck over here, then you can understand why you have a tension headache on this side that it actually is related to your foot pain and whatnot. So that was what sparked my real interest in fascia. And then, you know, there's like all these other schools of thought like myofascial release, which is great. It's Barnes, it's more, you know, at the surface, but they have great studies that show that it can impact it further along. Plastic surgeons have been using fascia forever to, you know, anchor things. So it's not that we don't know about fascia, but I think the book pulls it all together and makes it digestible for a normal person. And that's what I wanted. Like, I had the choice. I could have rolled this out, you know, in the medical community. We used to do certifications, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted a fast track. I wanted people to get the benefit without having to necessarily go, you know, to a therapist or to a doctor or to whatever. I wanted to empower individuals. And that's why I created the tool, because I wanted to touch more lives. And turns out it's a great vehicle. And I just happen to be in the right moment in history where we have social media to make that happen.
Make it happen.
Yeah, there have been some amazing people that have done things with fascia. We talk about in the book, Joanna, Dr. Travell, who was John F. Kennedy's therapist, MD. She ended up being the head of a medical school. She was really on to fascia. She called it myofascial triggers or something like that. I don't know, let me cross-reference the book.
Yeah.
But she couldn't get it out. You know, I think had Dr. Travell had social media, we may not be sitting here.
Yeah.
I just feel like I'm a vehicle to just kind of launch this science that so many other people have gone before and tried to do. But the reality is you also have to have a really good business mind. You have to have, you know, you have to have the willingness to step out in the public. As much as I'm on camera, you'd think I love it, but I don't.
Give me the book.
I don't even like the blowout part, the hair blowout. So I think we should flash forward, though, to why we wrote the book.
Well, can we just do the short story on the Cellulite tie-in?
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Do you want me to
That's the
tell
title
that?
of the book.
Yeah, no, so we've been talking about fascia and...
Well, let me tell you this. When we met, I didn't know it had anything to do with Cellulite.
When we met, this tool was not even invented yet. The story of how we met is in the book as well, but we had a mutual friend. She wanted to tell her story, and my friend knew that I was a writer, and I kind of roll my eyes because everybody wants to write a book, but I loved this friend, and so I came to visit Ashley, and she changed my life, and I was like, okay, I'll do whatever you want to do. She got me out of pain that I'd been in for 20 plus years, helped me with my son. Who
Never had done a lunge in her life.
Without pain.
And in one session of doing my magic.
She did it, and it changed my life. So then I was hooked. I was like, all right, how do we get you where we need to go? But so we tried to write another book.
That was a long time ago. That was like 7 years ago. It had to have been around 7 years ago because it was
it was pre-Blaster.
Yep.
You were just inventing it and designing it. I remember you talking about it in the clinic, and you wanted something to give your patients that they could work their fascia while she wasn't around.
Yep.
And so then you gave one to one of your ball players, and he gave it to his girlfriend, and she called you and said,
oh my God, I think that stick you gave my husband got rid of my cellulite.
boom.
But let me tell you, for me, you know, I had been working on men mostly, and they were pro athletes or celebrities, so they had very little body fat anyway.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to, you know, I was using it mainly for rehabilitation and sports performance. But as soon as she said it got rid of my cellulite, by the way, I had cellulite at the time and had actually struggled with it, and now I know why. I pictured, you know, the cobweb fascia system and the way that it connects. Like, I'd already seen that in a human body, and I was like, oh my God, that just makes so much sense. And I knew in literally less than 10 seconds that I had just invented the cure for cellulite.
Yeah, so basically,
By mistake, by the way.
it's all in the book, but your fascia is the connective tissue that runs from head to toe, surface to deep, and it's at the surface layer, it's webbed, and it's the fat poking. And we looked this. It was so funny because when
on WebMD,
we looked it up, and in WebMD it talks about fat poking through the connective tissue gives the appearance of cellulite, and we're like, okay, people know this, but nobody knows how to fix it.
I just had this conversation with W Magazine, so. It's amazing to me, and we were like, literally both of us laughed because she's a beauty editor and she sees this all the time too. If in the definition of cellulite, in the Wikipedia and WebMD, everyone says it's the connective tissue, why isn't everyone going, I have the solution for connective tissue?
Right.
Or why aren't they even looking at the solution for connective tissue?
Yep.
Why isn't anybody saying connective tissue? And by the way,
they keep saying diet and exercise,
or suck out the fat or lose the fat. Like that's the mountains, but what about the valleys, right?
Yeah, what about the Victoria's Secret models you work on?
Right.
They need it.
Listen, I don't
as much as anybody else.
Your son had cellulite on that jam tip.
Yep.
So I think the biggest message of the book is not how to get rid of your cellulite, although it does do that. There's great little, exactly how to do it front to back. So it has, the tutorials. But I think for me, this book is like, yo, world, fascia.
Right.
It exists. We missed it. Here's what we know about it. And then, oh, by the way, while you're, changing your life, you're also going to get rid of your cellulite.
Okay, so let's just talk about the contents of the book because yes, it's about fascia. You don't need a science degree. It's very, very simple to read. We made sure that no matter what your interest level is in the anatomy part, it's fun, it's easy, but most of all, it's informative and it's empowering. So there's over 200 images. If you want to learn how to use the tool, it's all in there. If you want to understand about your body and take control, there's a massive chart in here, the phases of fascia. Freak out because it talks about the health of the fascia and what's happening in the different stages of health in the blood, in the nerve, in the muscles, in the spine, in the brain, because fascia impacts every single system of the body. It's not just cellulite, it's not just pain, it's if organs are restricted, they're not going to function
even
as well.
Since writing the book, we did a $500,000 research project, and we know that it does even more than that.
Yeah.
So for me, the book, how everybody says, oh, they wrote the book. So I wanted to be the one that wrote the book and started the conversation. We have people that reach out almost every day that want to do more research, looking at it for this. I think where we've been so impactful on society, and hopefully we look back this at 10 years and be like, oh my gosh, that was like just at the beginning worldwide. This is the first stab at somebody even collectively pulling all this information into one place and giving it to a consumer versus another medical person.
Yeah, so we even, correct me if I'm wrong, if I remember when we were doing research, the only anatomy book that really talked about fascia was Gray's Anatomy, the most famous book out there. And so it's just not being talked about. So we want to start the conversation. It's known, surgeons know about it. We have tons of medical professionals who are part of the group who are sharing, who are helping their patients. And so it's just a really cool thing to be a part of and to just help people improve their lives. So speaking of conversations, we have a question from Robin Jensen in Westfield, Massachusetts. And Robin is asking about the book tour. And we are so glad you did because yes, we have been to some of the major cities. We're going to be coming to Chicago next month.
No, we're coming to
Chicago this month.
2 weeks.
Is it already? It's
yes,
time.
The 20th.
Okay, so
the 20th, we're going to be in Chi-Town.
If people want information on the book tour, they go to
ashleyblackguru.com/events.
What she said.
ashleyblackguru.com/events.
Yeah, so you'll be able to see.
We have Chicago coming up.
Yes.
And then after that, we have Dallas, which is going to be really incredible because we're going to actually be doing an educational piece. And then we have Los Angeles after that, and then we have a special undisclosed pop-up location that we'll let you know about a little bit closer to it. But I think it's so funny when people see our promotional materials for the book tour. They're like, this is a book tour. Because you and I have been to
It's a
book
party.
tours. We do it like a party. We have an epic
Education.
reception on Friday night. Saturday we have like a classy, cocktail hour, and then we do a stage show. We pull people out of the audience. We fix them. We have Joanna giving inspiration. Kathleen and Bart, who are kind of like my sidekicks in the research and implementation of the science part. They do their presentation. All the Blaster sisters come out. And by the way, we do call it, if you're new, we call it a sisterhood, because we've created this amazing online culture, and people who are talking online every single day are meeting in person. It's a very loving, exciting party.
It is.
And then we have the red carpet, which is hilarious to me that we have a red carpet, but it's kind of awesome.
And the step and repeat, we take pictures and
and then Sunday we do the traditional.
Yeah, and then we do the book signing and meet everyone, and I just love it because people come with some of the most amazing stories.
Let me tell you, being not only like the face of the company, but being the CEO and the creator, a lot of times you just get where you're on autopilot and the company's growing so quickly and we're doing an international launch that sometimes you just need that reminder of why you're doing it. And every book tour, at least 3 or 4 times I get choked up because of what women say. Like there's some that really stand out. Like there was a lady that had migraines for 29 years and she drove about 6 hours just so she could hug us and thank us. I'm sure you remember.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, she was amazing. And then there was some in Huntington when we did the first person to break up a pannus. I don't know if you know what a pannus is, but the stomach hangs over almost like that. I'm not making fun of it, okay, because I've had 3 C-sections.
It is. It's a hangover.
But I didn't know at the time that it could do that, and she was the first person. And way back about 1.5 years ago when we were doing the radio show, she agreed to come on the radio show, and she showed up in Huntington, and she's like, that was me. And then she's like, I really want to pull down my pants. I was like, go ahead. So she showed me, and her stomach was flat, and she had tears in her eyes, and she's like, I thought I was going to have surgery on this and whatever. What are your
That's
ones
it.
that
No, I remember. It's just
the lady that drove down from Canada that missed the whole event and was
she
still
still
in
had her
boots.
parka on. She drove all the way down to New York.
She cussed us out and then told us that
she's like, I missed that. But yeah, it's nobody ever walks up and says, "Thank you for curing my cellulite." This is the hook that gets people the information.
I mean, they'll show their legs and they'll be like, "Yeah," and then they'll be like, "But the reason I came is because it changed my life."
Yeah, I'm being empowered. I'm out of pain. I'm moving more. And in fact, we did like a little dance party at our last book event. Like, if this is you, if you're out of pain, if you're feeling great, if you're feeling more confident, empowered, if you're changing the shape of your body, if you're loving yourself more than you ever have,
it's so much bigger than cellulite or fascia or the tool or anything like that. I think that it's the science and the knowledge that lead to a new life and a hope and passing it on. And I think, I don't even think that I have to think about the movement, that it's just happening.
It's just happening.
It's just happening, and people are starving for answers. And I happen to be, like I said, in the right place in history to be able to provide those. And I am more than happy, by the way, to jump out in front of the movement and lead the parade. This has been swelling. Like I've been doing this in a clinical setting, for over 20 years now. I'm getting old. And when I first started, it was like, she's the witch doctor. I actually, by the University of Houston athletes, they called me the chicken bone lady. Like I was doing voodoo or something. Now people are getting more into, so this movement was coming and people were asking the questions, and then the foam roller came out and that became normal. And, so I just feel like this is the natural evolution, but I was just really happy that I had already experienced this and had so much hands-on, so to speak, time. It was just very natural to step in. And not only that part of it, but I was working with men with very healthy egos, and I have a very kind of in check, like I'm just happy to be alive at this point, and I don't really get caught up in drama. And so when I saw what was happening on social media with just the kind of mean girl stuff, it was also natural for me to jump in and mentor like how to support each other, and that we're all in the same boat. I'm telling you, I really do work with models and the people you see in the magazines. Nobody has a perfect body, and almost everybody has some kind of pain. So rather than be like, her butt is this, or chicken butt, or too big of a butt, or I don't know why we always talk about butts, or legs or whatever, you know, we kind of made it cool within our social media group to actually be supportive.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
amazing.
When you have 230,000 women who are just cheering each other on.
This
50
week of active users.
50. Cheering each other
that.
on.
I was thinking, we were actually having a meeting with our social media, and I was like, you guys wrap your brain around 220, 230, 250, and growing every week, 1,000 women. Okay, so take the biggest. I asked you about Lakewood Church because Joel Osteen and us
we're
have the
part
same,
there. Yeah, it's like 20,000.
Okay, so times, I can't do it in my head.
10.
Yeah, times 10.
10,
times
15,
20.
15.
Okay, so massively, so imagine that, and we have one microphone,
check the
right?
math.
Okay, we have one microphone.
And everybody
now,
wants it.
Every single person that we just mentioned, all trying to get the mic, and you're trying to keep it positive. You know, so it has been quite the task to do that, but I really think that's what people are resonating with,
Yes.
and the realness of it, and the real genuine support of it, and the us being together. Like, you know, it is funny when people see me in person, they're like, oh, you're so pretty. And I think it's like, no, I don't really think that's it. I think that just I shoot my live videos, whatever is going on. And most of the time, you know, it's just, I can, you know, I'm fresh out of bed.
Roll out of bed,
Yeah,
hair tied up.
Normally really greasy hair, or right off the beach or whatever. And I don't care, because if the moment strikes to, you know, give a piece of education, I don't have time to, you know, do my hair and makeup, you know, to deliver that message. That message needs to be delivered right then. I feel like it's almost like Teresa Caputo, you know, when you're struck with, you know, being compelled to say, hey, why are you walking like that? I see your foot turned out. I bet your back hurts. You know, you're just struck. And so I just decided, hey, you know what? Let the cameras roll. We'll keep it real. And it's amazing because the women followed suit, and we've seen some gnarly pictures, some stretch marks, some panis, some big old butts. We've seen some, you know,
women
bare bodies with a
real
little sunshine over their hoo-ha and everything else. And, you know, at first you're kind of like, wait, you know, I'm a scientist, like, and then I was like, you know what, but this is how people get information now. It is like a big party, and to have people whipping the fascia blaster out at, you know, Thanksgiving dinner, I love it.
We
Share
hear
it with
those
your
stories.
friends, you know.
You might as well. I've had family members that have said they've told me there's no hope for this, that, or the other. I'm like, come here, sister. And we pull out that blaster.
Now you're the chicken bone lady.
I'm certified. I'm the chicken bone lady protege. All right, so can I do a story time?
I think we absolutely should do a story time, but tell them what that is.
Okay, so my handle on the Facebook page is hashtag Storytime with Joanna, because while we were putting this book together, I would go on and read excerpts and get feedback and share information with the group, and we just had a great time. So
fun.
We want to read.
And by the way, if you guys hear Joanna's voice, you can tell that she is a mother who is still reading every night to her child, because the minute she goes into story time with Joanna, she goes into.
I put all the women to sleep. They love it. It's
they
like,
do.
It's like
I
a
really
big
do.
slumber party.
I picture women like in their gammies with whatever their little nighttime routine is.
You know, with their little sleepy time tea. So we wanted to read an excerpt of the book if you haven't seen any of those feeds, and even if you have, it's just fun. And
I love this part too, by the way. Like the intro was the hardest part to write for me, because it's like, how do you tee this up for somebody that doesn't know
anything about
it? Because, you know, you can come at it and go, oh, you know, it's the #1 bestseller, and you can say, oh, we've sold a bunch of these, and like, oh, there's this Facebook. But how do you get people to go, wait a minute, maybe the world is round? Or in the book we talk about, maybe you should wash your hands before you do surgery, or like or like Steve Jobs saying, look, person, you know, buy these motherboards because everybody's going to want a computer in their house, and everybody's like, no, they're not. That's weird. This is weird. And so when we teed up the information, I was like, Joanna, it can't just be like, we're going to teach you this and we're going to teach you that. We've got to get people to like sit back and go, wait a minute,
smell it,
exactly,
and want it.
Yes, 100%. So I love the intro. Good job, sister. Joanna's the best writer ever. I mainly talked and edited. So it's my thoughts.
Well, you're the best talker ever.
Well, I'm the best talker, but you are definitely the best writer.
Okay, so the introduction is called You know, I have a microphone right here. I feel like I'm yelling to all of you. Sorry.
Well, I'm so loud that lady in Tennessee, she could probably hear me with no mic.
All right, so you're gonna like get a way leg up on me. So be thinking you're gonna have to
sit over here
talk
and
when
sign.
I'm done. All right, so this
Usually it's me doing the writing anyway.
Right?
If you come to a book signing, I like rewrite the book in the. Joanna does one Bible verse. I'm like, you're not even a real signer, Joanna.
I'll learn. Okay, so the introduction is called "Welcome to the Party." If you are reading this book, you are in one of two categories of people. Number one, you're a full-on Ashley Black fan and blasting enthusiast, a member of the beloved Blaster Squad. You likely have gobbled up all the blogs, videos, radio shows, and posts you can possibly find, and you've been waiting for the release of this book, like it's Christmas, times 10, on steroids. You binge scroll through the Fascia Blaster private page on Facebook into the wee hours of the morning, and you've seen thousands upon thousands of mind-blowing before and after images of all body parts. All body parts. You may have even been brave enough to post your own before and after images and felt the massive self-esteem boost when you were subsequently flooded with affirmation and encouragement from women all over the world. I'm totally going to cry just reading this again. Women you didn't even know.
I got the chills just then because now they know each other.
So cool.
I haven't read this since we've done the book tour.
Me either. You've been touched by the
cry time with Joanna. We actually have a cry room at our tours. It's pretty awesome.
Okay. You've been touched by the love and support in this group, and you've discovered that being vulnerable with other women isn't so scary after all. You may have been part of a crash and blast. You may have been to a meet and treat. You have smoother skin, less pain, and you're exercising more effectively. You are changing your body and ultimately your life. You feel empowered in ways you never have before. You no longer punish yourself because you don't look like the women in the magazine or measure up to society's ideal. You are creating your own ideal. You're falling in love with your body, perhaps for the very first time. And that body confidence is seeping over into other areas of your life too. Your work performance is better, you're sleeping more deeply, your relationships are stronger, and you just feel like a younger, better version of yourself, empowered. You are a microcosm of a movement of women sweeping the globe, a unique sisterhood of strong, brave, beautiful women who are tired of being told what they should and shouldn't look like and what they can and can't do with their bodies. Can I get some thumbs up and hearts and love on this Facebook page?
Are they doing it?
Women who are tired of competing and comparing and criticizing and ready to love, share, encourage, and make a difference in the world. If you have no idea what I'm talking about,
possibly our viewers
tonight, then you clearly fall into the second category of people. Maybe you found this book in the airport or a friend gave you a copy. Maybe you saw her, on TV somewhere or simply happened upon some clickbait. You were intrigued by the cover and started reading because, hey, if there really is a cure for cellulite, you'd be interested. You're a fashion newbie, a blaster to be. Don't worry about what that means right now. While the cure for cellulite seems like a handy thing to know, you are about to learn infinitely more about yourself and your body. Infinitely. The information in this book can change your paradigm and impact the way you approach your health forever. Now that may seem strange for a book about cellulite to be life-changing, but just stick with me for a minute. I promise to deliver. It's not that we're all so fragile that a little cottage cheese on the leg is holding us back from accomplishing our dreams and goals. And why the heck is a book about cellulite even talking about dreams and goals? Here's the thing, and read this next part carefully. The key to the cure for cellulite is also the key to a myriad of unanswerable questions about your body, health, and appearance. In fact, it's a master key that's as crucial as knowing that you need water, oxygen, and blood to survive. Once you have this key, you can open as many doors as you'd like. You can change your body in ways you never thought possible. You can correct health and orthopedic issues you were previously told you couldn't. You can obliterate cellulite, pain, restrictions, and more. In every field of science, there will always be new information. It used to be that these cutting-edge discoveries were first available to society's elite, the rich and famous, and then over about a 10-year period, it would trickle down to the general population. With today's technology and social media, Information is made available globally almost instantly and with the click of the share button. As we begin this journey together, I want to encourage you to open your mind to the possibility that there is so much more to learn about your body than you've been told before, because there is. Open your eyes and jump. In the box office hit The Matrix, one of the most iconic scenes is where our hero Neo is being invited on a journey that will radically alter and contradict everything he knows about his life. He has a choice to make. The character Morpheus offers him 2 pills, a blue one or a red one. The blue pill will erase the fact that they ever met and any awareness Neo has about what is known as the Matrix. With the blue pill, Neo can go back to his ordinary life, working in an ordinary cubicle, and live in the status quo like everyone else. The red pill, however, is another story. The red pill will open his eyes to live fully in reality. It will allow him to see and understand the Matrix, which is keeping the human race unknowingly in a deep sleep and disillusionment. With the red pill, he will wake up and gain control of his life for the first time ever. Just before Neo chooses one of the pills, Morpheus says, "I imagine you feel a bit like Alice traveling down the rabbit hole.
The way the viewers feel right now. Like, what have I gotten myself into?
You have the look of a man who accepts what he sees because he's about to wake up. You are here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you can feel it. You don't know what it is, but it's there. It's this feeling that has brought you to me. Do you want to know what it is? It's a world that's been pulled over your eyes to blind you to the truth. You take the blue pill and the story ends. You take the red pill and you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more." In this book, all I'm offering to you is the truth about your body, nothing more. As you read, you may feel a bit like Alice traveling down the rabbit hole, but hold on, because you are about to wake up to some pretty exciting possibilities. You are reading this book because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you can feel it. You don't know what it is, but it's there. You know there's more out there than what you've been told, and now you have a choice to make. Open yourself to the truth and allow me to show you how deep the rabbit hole really goes. You may tumble, reread, question yourself, or feel as shocked as the Blaster sisters who came before you. All I'm asking you to do is trust the process and enjoy the free fall. This book isn't about just changing your belief about cellulite and fixing it. It's about taking back control. At the surface, it's about taking back control of your body, but ultimately it's about taking back control of your life. It's your choice. There's no red pill, no blue pill, only the black pill. Go ahead, take it, and jump. Welcome to the party.
I love that intro.
It's so
I love it better now.
good.
I mean, now that things have evolved, because we wrote this, back in last summer, really.
Oh my gosh, tell about the publisher meeting and how we got this
How
book
we
out.
lied.
We didn't lie. We
Sorry.
didn't. One of us embellished a little. One of us sat there quietly going, "Oh my word, what are we committing to?" But we did it.
Well, I knew that, with the momentum of the group, that the book was going to be necessary. And people just had so many questions that, even with a huge staff, we still can't answer everything that we would like to be able to as comprehensively as we would like to. I was like, Joanna, we got to write a book and we got to get it out there. Like, we need it out there yesterday.
Well, and you had the information. You wanted to get it out there, and we wanted to release
No, I've been
ASAP.
waiting for this my whole life, really.
Yeah.
But it was a painful process, and it was painful because we told our publisher that it'd be no problem to get the book done in 6 weeks because we were almost finished when in reality I don't think we had actually written one.
We
word
had a book proposal. That's what we
not
had.
the same as a
we
book,
had an
you guys.
outline of something, but that was, we hadn't even, usually a book like this would take 18 months, and we squashed it into 6 to 8 weeks. And the publisher was like, well, we want to make the release date make sense for you guys. And we were like, we are releasing January, and it makes sense. We promise we will hit our deadline. And we did. He was like, well.
It was actually a #1 bestseller way before it was ever completed. We didn't even realize, I'm a first-time author, and I, didn't know anything about this world and, distribution and God loves Simon & Schuster, who's really helped us and all that. But I just remember Anthony really casually, we met in New York, and he said, Yeah, so you're going to be live on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and Target, next week. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, because so the way it works is they pre-release, and so the pre-orders determine the print run. You don't want to print 50,000 books and only sell 10,000. So that helps gauge.
Yeah.
So we were not even done with the editing process. We had the first draft done, but we were still editing. And the book went up, and the first day, within 3 hours.
Let me tell you, I just had no idea. Like, we knew that we wanted to be bestsellers. We didn't realize that would be #1 on the debut. Nobody was even together. We didn't even know when it was going up. And I remember I was having a dance lesson, and my phone just kept going off, and I'm like, what is happening? And I look, and it's like, Lainey, who's the COO, and my daughter, they were together, and they're like texting me, your book is going to #1, it's going to #1. Joanna's texting me, everybody. So then we all sort of descended on the house, and we were like, whoa, that just happened. Like, I have to tell you, I think if I were watching a live feed about first-time authors, I would want to know what that feels like. And I can tell you that it's not even exciting. It's like, it's such an overwhelming emotion that it's almost like peace, right?
Yeah, it was just surreal. It was kind of like, the baby is here. That's what it felt
That
like.
is what it feels like.
Now what do we do? Now we got to finish it.
Well, we birthed it. So I want to take another question, because this is a really good one. So Rebecca in Tennessee, at 44, can I change the shape of my behind? Even being overweight for years, which I'm working on too. So the first thing that I want to say to everyone out there, I'm 45. I'm very open about my age. Joanna has a birthday next week.
Monday, 42.
And we have women all the way up into their 70s and 80s using this thing.
Grandmas in bikinis.
Yeah, so the first thing that I would say is it doesn't really matter what your age is. You still have the opportunity to have whatever, body that you have ever wanted. And the fascia blaster and the knowledge of fascia is just kind of like having nitrox for the process. Joanna and I were literally in the bathroom before just talking about like, oh, we need to blast. So it's one of those things where you go into it instead of saying, I need to, get my food prep. I need to get my exercise in order. Like for me, the first thought is always like, let me get my fascia in order so that, my diet and exercise is more efficient. And that's absolutely the case. But what I can tell you that's really exciting is that even since we wrote the book, we've done research, and what we know for an absolute fact is that the fascia blaster not only breaks up fat, it does it at a safe rate that can be metabolized just like when you diet and exercise. In fact, it has a very similar amount of fat leaving the body as doing high intensity training, which how amazing is that? These women weren't even doing the blasting, they were getting blasted. So we know that it's not, cardio from doing the blaster. So that's even more of a bonus. You can lay on a table, someone can blast you, and your metabolic rate will increase and your fatty acids will increase, and they continue to increase in the blood. So we know that it cycles through. And then over the 90 days, we continue to see metabolic increases. So when I hear metabolic increase, I hear I'm going to stay young and skinnier longer because, and that doesn't even have anything to do with the smoothness and the texture of the skin and all of those things, which is so awesome. I mean, this is just what we're seeing inside the body. So that to me is like a headline. We are breaking up fat. We are not exactly sure how. We don't know if it's thermogenesis or I don't care. It is. And that we're increasing metabolic rate over time. And if you look at some of the people, I'm going to call someone out by name, but I think one of our biggest examples is the lady that I brought on the Today Show with me, Dea Viola, because, she's in her 50s and literally 90% of her routine, even though she's just a healthy person in general, is fascia blasting. And it's a total transformation. So what I would say to you is that absolutely there's hope. It doesn't matter your age. It doesn't matter your weight. Not only is the fascia blaster and this knowledge that's in the book going to help you to, lose weight, it's also going to make you feel better and look better all along the way. So it's a win-win across the board. I don't think 44 is old. It's funny when I think about somebody saying, oh, I'm 44.
It's the new 20.
Yeah, 40 is the new 20, honey.
Do you want to give some prizes away and then maybe answer a couple more
questions?
questions?
I just want to do this real quick. Here you go.
You're going to let me get the party started on
And
this
look,
side?
I don't have any more. Yes, I would love to give away some prizes. So can we have, we'll do one from the Facebook page and we'll do one from the, let's do, I bet the people who are on the live signing may be newbies. So I think what we do is give away an actual fascia blaster and the oils and creams and the face blaster, which we can get into later. Or you guys can always, if you just start typing in Ashley Black, you'll get more of Ashley Black than you ever wanted. So who do we give this one to? Laura Thomas.
Laura Thomas, woo!
Do we know where she's from? There might be multiple Laura Thomases.
Laura Thomas, if
you're on this, most likely it's you, but we're giving away kind of like a starter kit.
Sure.
So we're super excited about that. We have tons of stuff down here, by the way. Joanna and I just have big mouths. So we have,
yes.
okay, awesome.
Yay.
And then let's do one from
Let's
our
do
group.
another
I can
one.
tell you that this is the most coveted item, this and the Ask Me Blast Me. So who from our group can we give the hat to? Oh, it's not tight enough, but
So cute.
let me tell you, this is the item that my personal celebrities, they always want. Taryn Terrell. It says, give her a blaster. She doesn't have one? Okay, we'll give her a blaster. You also get the hat. So you're going to be instantly envied. I know. It's the hat and the jacket. So Taryn Terrell, we will give you a blaster hat and a full-size blaster if you don't have it. It's like, give her a blaster. Okay. So that was fun. I love to give stuff away. We give away so much stuff. And at our live book tours, we literally take these items and throw them at the audience. It's really fun.
Our book tours are so fun, and you give away so much stuff. You're like one of the most generous people on the planet.
I love it.
Fun.
Yeah, I love
fun.
giving it away. In fact, we've given away so many books. Is it a good time to talk about Be the Movement?
Do you want to take one more question? Or you want to talk about the books? Talk about Be the Movement. We'll do a question after.
Yeah, I think the Be the Movement is important. And I also think that anyone that's out there, I would encourage you to buy 2 books. And the reason I say that is because we have an initiative to give away the information because that is our way of paying it forward. And I feel like life should work like that. I feel like if you're given a gift and something works in your life, that it's your duty and responsibility to pass that on. And I think a lot of women in our group feel that way. So what you do is you take a book and you literally write across my butt, write hashtag Be the Movement, and then you write free book and you drop it off somewhere. On the inside, you just write in here, I'm giving you this book because it did XYZ for me. And, I hope it does XYZ for you. And when you're done, you can pass it on. And so we've left these things, Joanna, everywhere. I've done airplanes, I've done
gyms,
malls,
grocery
churches,
stores,
kids'
parks.
school, parks. We've had some really awesome ones. And what's
Coffee
amazing
shops.
about it is that it absolutely is working. And it's such a little thing. It's such a cheap thing, I think. And what an impact if somebody learns this key piece of information and they were given it to them. I think people are blown away that somebody gives away anything, which is sad to me because I think we should be giving away everything.
Well, and that's the whole point. You brought up we call it the Red Book, and this was the book that John F. Kennedy's physician wrote about fascia.
Dr. Terrell.
And she was the head of the research facility in Bethesda, Maryland, one of the most famous hospitals. She tried to get this information out, and it fell by the wayside. So that's Ashley's passion. That's her whole team.
I want to make sure that if I die, or well, obviously I'm going to die.
Not anytime soon.
Hopefully not. I think he would have taken me a long time ago had he wanted me. But I want this to continue way after I'm gone. And I think the book and paying it forward and having this literally sitting around in everyone's house, almost like, what to expect when you're expecting, or, Blue Ocean Strategy, or,
Who moved my cheese?
Yeah, exactly. The books that we just think of as kind of part of our society. Like Joel has a book, Live Your Best Life Now, or Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek. It's one of those things that just becomes part of our culture. And I think this book is going to be the same way. And what better way to do that than to give it away?
Yeah, everyone has fascia. Everyone needs it.
And at our book tours, just so y'all know, we give away a book to every single person along with mini ones and other things like that because we want to encourage them to be the movement. So in Atlanta, you guys, there should be lots of free books laying around. So if you live in that area, I suggest that you start stalking parks. And no, I'm just kidding. Okay, so Beth in Texas, she says, at age 64 and creeping skin, can you still get rid of cellulite too and skin can recover? I use on all my clients as well. Love your products. Thank you. Oh, awesome. So Beth is a blaster sister. Hi, Beth. We are in Texas tonight as well. No. Oh, sorry, it switched.
Tennessee.
TX and TN.
She was on a plane. She was in Texas. Now she's in Tennessee.
The monitor.
What is it?
It's a different post now.
I'm going to just drink my sparkling water.
So let's talk about creep skin, because I think that people have thrown it in a category the same way they've thrown cellulite in a category, the same way we've thrown hernia in a category, the same way we've thrown migraine in a category. But creep skin is a combination of a lot of things. Number one, creep skin has to do with being dry. I notice if I am out in the sun or in the ocean, you know, I can have creep skin when that's not something that I really have. So for sure, you want to have your skin hydrated, both from the outside and the inside. But creep skin tends to happen when we don't have enough muscle volume, and then our skin just becomes older. So let's talk about the actual skin, and then we can talk about what's going on up underneath. So the actual skin, you know, everybody talks about how we lose collagen production, and, you know, we need elastin, and we hear about, you know, oxygen and all these other things that we're trying to ingest and do all of that. But the bottom line is that it is the blood that carries those nutrients and has that kind of magic interaction at the skin. Well, guess what's just below the skin, you guys? The fascia, okay? So if the blood cannot get to the skin because of fascial restriction or tightness, then you're not gonna have that interaction that you need of elastin, collagen, you know, and just ingested nutrients. So it's kind of like giving you a super highway to get, you know, those things to the skin rather than just putting it, you know, topically.
On top of it, you're opening up
the blood is the key for that. So that's the skin portion of it. But in addition to the skin, when the fascia is so tight, I describe it like beef jerky, because it's like the fascia comes in and it literally chokes muscles out. You know, we're intended to have full of blood muscles. And we've seen this on our ultrasound imaging. If anybody's interested in the results of the study, they can go to ashleyblackguru.com/findings, meaning like findings in the study, or just go to Ashley Black Guru and you'll find it in the blog section.
Or somebody will post a link on the feed.
Yeah, you'll find it. Again, Ashley Black Findings, it'll probably pop up if you just Google it. But you know, what we're seeing is that we're restoring the fascia all the way down, and the muscle fibers are becoming more dense, and it's indicated by the, you know, darkness on those ultrasounds. So what that means is that instead of losing muscle mass, which we do as we age, if we don't, you know, have some sort of interruption. So what you're doing by restoring the fascia at the deeper layers is actually allowing those muscles to plump. And trust me, ladies, nobody's going to bulk up. That takes a lot of effort. Trust me, coming from the bodybuilding world, you have to take, you know, you have to devote a lot to that. You have to eat a lot.
Like
a lot of people
a different
use
hormone.
anabolic steroids is very common. You know what I'm saying? So don't worry about bulking up. Maybe that's our next book, is the bulk myth. But what you want to do is just have healthy, lean muscles that can actually help fill up the skin. But you can do 10,000 leg extension squats, everything you want. And if your fascia is choking your muscles, they're not going to fire properly. They're not going to condition, and they're not going to fill out the skin. So it's a twofold thing. You've got the skin, and then you've got what's going on up underneath. The good thing is that the fascia blaster mixed with some, you know, weight training, or in our group we just call it activation, meaning firing off those muscles. When that happens, you can get rid of creep skin altogether.
Yeah, and we've seen it.
We've seen it. We have
There's
tons of pictures. We
all
have
over
some
the place.
scary pictures of creep skin, like even people who are younger. This is like a new thing. In fact, when we first started doing the page, I didn't know what it was. I'd never heard that term. I thought it was said creepy skin. And I'm like, I don't know what creepy skin is.
Well, I will
But
just
we have
tell
found
you,
out, sister.
We know what it is. But, you know, even in my own experience, I mean, people always freak out because they're like, oh, you don't look over 40. But, I mean, I take care of my health and my skin. But that face blaster is like the ace in the hole. I'm like, if I'm feeling puffy, I haven't done it in a while, so don't do a close-up. But it's like it helps get rid of all that puffiness.
Well, I think this again goes back to the myth part of this book, is that you guys, scar tissue wrinkles and cellulite are really all the same thing, okay? It's where something beneath the skin pulls the skin into a position. So whether you have little crow's feet, that's where the fascia is pulling your skin into a wrinkle, or whether you have a C-section scar that wants, or for me, I have all kinds of scars, wants to pull that skin inward and stick together and get mangled, you know, or if you have dents and dimples in your legs, that is all fascia. And so to me, the face blaster was a very natural transition. You know, as soon as people started using the bigger one on their face and they were having a result, I was like, oh, don't do that. You know, wait and let me develop the smaller claws for the smaller tissues. But every day, particularly since we've launched the face blaster, which has only been a couple months, it's just mind-blowing what I'm seeing.
I love
people actually
my
look
face blaster.
exactly like themselves. Like there's no weird change like, you know, sometimes lip injections can do. I can speak from personal experience. You just look like a younger, healthier version of yourself.
Yes.
Which is a very powerful tool. Like, let me speak to the older gals out there. You know, I've always felt like I had pretty good control of my body. You know, we have diet and exercise, and now we have the fascia blaster, but it's scary. I've even talked to like some very public celebrity women who are constantly being photographed, and we're like, what do you do when your face starts to slide down? You know, so I think the face blaster is amazing, and
it's awesome.
I'm super excited about that. For me personally, I use the face blaster more than I actually use the big blaster.
I do
you know
too.
what? If my legs get a little cottage cheesy, whatever, I'll deal with it later. But rest assured, I take that face blaster with me, and I blast my gels almost every day.
I'm going to ask a question.
And nasolabial folds, you know.
Of course, I was just thinking about that. My nasal labial folds.
Your
How
commas.
many fascia blasters have been confiscated in security at the airport from you?
Oh, from me? Well, I was doing it as a test. I travel all the time, obviously.
Can you take the big one? People ask that all the time.
No,
I've never
don't.
tried.
I have.
I take the little ones.
Yeah, I take the face and the mini too, which if you don't know where to find those, it's Ashley Black Guru products page.
So those travel better, just FYI.
Yes, absolutely. So when we travel, I always, if I'm going to take the big one, I put it in my check-on bag. Not, to this date, now again, this isn't like some kind of scientific research, but to this date, I have not had a face or a mini 2 confiscated. But
I haven't
I
either.
think because the big one kind of looks like you
like a weapon
could kill someone with it, you know.
And the other one, people just don't want to ask about. Okay, we probably should take a couple more questions. So
okay, let's take Rebecca in Pennsylvania. PA is Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
Maybe I should do a little state study before I do this. She said, I need some advice on how to get on a blasting routine. I feel you, my sister. I've had my full-size blaster and facial blaster for a while now and just never seem to find the time. A busy mom of 2, I'm wondering if I should make time to do it at night, even if it's only 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so Rebecca, I encourage you to go and post this on the Fascia Blasters private group. If you're not in there, request to get in, because you will hear 1,000 different ways to do this. And
that's right.
First of all, I would say a busy mom of 2, like, I get it. I've got 3 kids, 2 adopted kids, this business and this full-blown circus going on. So I get being busy, but my first advice is just as your friend, which is make the time. You know, we put ourselves last, but this is that one thing that you can do and escape the kids and get away and just really spend some time loving on yourself. And I hear that all the time. So the first thing I would say is try to make time. Now I'm speaking to you from more like totally realistic, Ashley. I don't care if you do it for 2 minutes in the shower, it's better than nothing,
yes.
right?
Yep.
You know, you will get some sort of result, you know, within minutes, particularly if you're focusing on one thing at a time and you can kind of bounce around. And I think also too, once you see the result of that, you'll be more motivated to take more time and do it.
You'll be like, heck, everything's going off my plate right now. I'm taking care of me. I've had times, and that's what I tell women, you know, just get started. If you can just do 5-10 minutes, because once you get started, you are not going to want to stop. And suddenly all those things that seemed important aren't
go
that
by the
important.
wayside.
You got to take care of yourself. It's like the whole airplane analogy. You got to put your oxygen mask on first
before you can help
others.
I also will say to just my busy women out there, you know, to me, this is just like, you know, for the most part, I eat healthy. You know, I try to work out 3 to 5 times a week to do some sort of exercise. You know, I try to hydrate, you know, all the things that we know to be healthy. And to me, the Fascia Blaster just goes in that category. And I think sometimes you do need to set aside a point in your life, you know, like set that start date of when you're going to do it. So like for me, for the entire month of June, I have promised myself to sit still for 1 month. It's such a big deal for me not to travel. I travel like every 3 or 4 days. I'm on a plane going somewhere else. So I want to commit an entire month. Not that I'm not healthy and blasting now, but I want to commit that month to just really making this more of a focus. Blasting regularly, you know, really being more hardcore about the diet and all that. So I think that we need to be easy on ourselves and realize that it's not a sprint. The fascia blaster is a lifelong process, really.
Yeah.
And there's going to be times when you do it faithfully and times that you don't, and that's okay.
And that's the whole thing, because
it's a decision. It's a decision to do something for yourself.
Well, and it's like you have to, just like you would keep exercising or keep, you know, building muscle to keep yourself in shape, you have to kind of manage your fascia. It gets easier.
It's a cell just like every other cell in the body.
I mean, if you've got bad biomechanics, if you wear some crazy high heels, and you're gonna kind of get yourself out of whack a little bit. So you just have to prepare to maintain. People are like, oh, well, how long does it last? Well, it depends on you. Are you hydrated? Are you eating right? There's so many different things that impact the fascia. But the cool thing is, no matter what you've done to yourself, you have a tool that can get you back to where you need to be. So be realistic with your expectations and just get going.
Yeah, I would say, you know, do it whenever you can. This isn't my personal regime, but I've seen people that, you know, they're face blasting in the carpool line, or, you know, I can tell you on book tour, it was so funny. We all don't wear heels, and we wear heels for the stage show. So afterwards, in between that and the after party, it was literally like the CFO, the CEO, my parents, everybody was like sitting there talking. We had our champagne and we're like
blasting our feet and our ankles.
Oh, my ITBM was freaking out.
Like,
so
these shoes.
Something's better than nothing.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Let's take another. This is a good one. We both should answer it. What accomplishment are you most proud of? I think I just told you in the bathroom, to be honest with you.
My goodness.
Do you remember? It's something I mean, I've had some really pretty market events that I would be proud of, but I think the event that I am most proud of is that when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I just made the decision to go to counseling. And I, for 2 years, just did some deconstructing, you know, and made sure that my thought patterns were, you know, in line with this vision for what I wanted to create. And I was really lucky that I had a great counselor. And, you know, I already had kind of that screw you attitude about my body, like, I'm going to fix this, like, nobody's going to stop me.
Nobody's going to tell you what to do.
Yeah, nobody's going to tell me what to do kind of thing. But I think through counseling, like, I really learned how to be me without being abrasive to other people, and you know, just how to have self-worth and self-love and things like that. And for me, it changed me as a mom, and now I see those characteristics in my children. So my accomplishments that I'm most proud of are really in my personal life. It carries over into my professional life. Yeah. I'm proud of everything I've done in my professional life. You know, I wouldn't take 1 minute of it back. I wouldn't take one late night treatment where I show up at midnight because that's when the client could see me, and, you know, I'm funding the fascia blaster out of, you know, doing treatments and running all over. I used to drive with a Pilates machine in my car and go to people's houses and do all of that. So, you know, I'm proud of every good and bad thing that's ever happened to me in my career, but I would have to say I'm most proud of my personal life and the choices that I've made as a mom, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
What about you?
As an accomplishment.
Let me sit back and hush and listen.
I know. It's like we talked about so many things in the bathroom a few minutes ago. You know,
it's always good every once in a while, ladies, to have your girlfriends over and just get ready to go somewhere together.
That's right. Put your makeup on, do your hair together, reconnect. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of, the first thing, of course, I thought of was giving birth and surviving toddlerhood as a mom. You know, it's like I came out and I'm still alive. But, you know,
she still has a young child.
I still have a young one.
I'm coasting in. I've got college age kids.
Just watching and making sure I survive the rest of it. But that's such a great blessing. But, you know, like you have a lot of things I'm really proud of. You know, every time I have a chance to impact a life, you know, I'm proud of that. Whether it's, you know, through a book or at a church service or, you know, wherever I am on Facebook with a post. But, you know, as a writer, I've been very, very blessed to be a part of some pretty amazing projects that have impacted a lot of people. But you know, this is the first one. My girl put my name on it. Woo, woo.
Let's talk about that, because you know, I don't know. Sometimes I don't feel like I show all of myself to the public. You know, not on purpose, but you know, my passion is not just the Fascia Blaster and fascia. Like, I have a huge desire to help people do whatever they want to accomplish.
Yes, you do.
And I have a saying, Chelsea, you can make the meme. Chelsea's one of our moderators. I always say it's lonely at the top, so you might as well drag some people with you. And it really is true. I mean, I think you have to have a lot of fortitude to get to the top, whatever that is. I'm not there yet, I don't know. But I have always felt like if I could see talent in other people and bring that to the surface, that they would kind of thrive as well. And that's what I wanted to do with Joanna. I didn't want her to be my ghostwriter. She's my friend. She's a talented writer. She deserves to have best-selling author after her name. And, you know. I am so grateful. She didn't make the front of the book.
No. But no, this has really been a great project for me. And it has been a turning point for me because, yeah, I've kind of been, I've done a lot of different things in my life. But my latest season, just with a young child, I've kind of been sitting behind the scenes doing my thing. And Ashley was like, oh, no, you're getting out there. If I'm doing this, you're doing this too. And I appreciate that about her because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to see the women.
I can't imagine sitting and doing the signings without you, Joanna. I would be so bored up there.
And I'm so honored. I really am. You know, I can remember just like, is this for real? Is this really happening? I mean, it's like
very, very strange when an author would do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not often. There's a, you know, there are people out there that only do co-writing, but there's a lot of people out there who are doing ghostwriters and awesome people that help with movie scripts and books and, you know, all kinds of stuff.
They're kind of the unsung heroes.
They're the unsung heroes.
So I wanted to make sure that
because a lot of people have a
was on there with
message,
me.
but yeah, they don't know how to put it in paper. So we work really well together, and it was super fun.
No, we don't. The reason I say that is because I would like dread seeing Joanna's name on my phone.
It's like, we have to get this done. Like, I don't care what else you're doing in your world.
The one time I was like, oh, I can't. I was in Japan, so we were literally on the exact opposite time schedule. So it was like noon for you and midnight for me, and I had just like settled into this really oddly stiff bed, and I was so done with that day, and I was like,
it was
oh my
grueling
God,
process.
Yeah, I got to take Joanna's call because we got to get through this next chapter.
But we did it, and we had fun. Eventually, we had fun.
We didn't speak for 6 weeks after. But
it was just like, oh my gosh, we officially hated this book when it was done because, anyway, that's another story. But now we love it again, and you will love it too.
I almost cried when you were reading the intro. So I think it's a good time to give out more prizes.
Yes.
So another thing that's really prized, and I think we'll just give out a Fascia Blaster along with this other stuff. These are the extra goodies. So people blast in public, if y'all don't know this, and we always recommend that you do it with
Okay, but we say in public, not like in the grocery store, but like
well, I don't know. I heard
in the gym, on the beach. People do it on the beach, outside.
At the pool, for sure.
Yeah, at the pool.
But, you know, you're trying to reach all the areas of your body. So, and people were saying, when people catch me in the sauna or wherever, they're like, what are you doing? And so this is really just a fun little thing I created, really for no reason. I don't even think we make money
because
off
you're
these.
funny.
Because I'm Ashley.
Cute.
So there's a top that's a tube top, and it says "Ask Me." So like if you're looking all crazy, all hemmed up, I'll never forget. My assistant Inga, she got caught or whatever blasting in the sauna, and the lady was like,
busted and blasted.
I'm just gonna leave you to that, and she was like, good, beat it. So
now
now we give the invitation to ask me, and then the shorts on the back, of course, because it's on your hiney, say blasphemy. So it's just a fun little thing that we do, but I've seen a lot of people wearing it, and they love it. It's just a fun little thing that we do. So we'll give away this
who's getting
and a Fascia Blaster to Rhonda Smith in Montana. What a beautiful state.
Go
Montana
Rhonda, go Rhonda.
Do we know if she is currently a blaster, or is this new to her? Okay, we'll have to find out the size. There is actually a size. It's pretty much one size fits all, but I can tell you the large doesn't fit me. It bags on me a little bit. So that's that, and we'll keep giving these away. Actually, let's go ahead and do it on our Facebook page. Why are you always 5 steps ahead of me? Heidi Wendell Estef. I guess that's how you say it. And it says that she lost hers in a house fire.
Aww.
Girl. So now you have the Ask-Me Blast Me, and we'll replace your blaster. And in fact, since you lost it in the house fire, I will throw in all of the products, including the oils and creams and the ones that aren't even on the market. So I'm so sorry that you had that happen to you, Miss Heidi.
That
all
was
right.
so sweet. Now, don't everybody be telling us that you all had house
Lord,
fires.
we've had that. I've heard the people trying to jump line in the signings. I've heard every story. Some lying women out there wanting to get their selfie on.
All right, well, how are we doing on time? We're good to just kind of answer some more questions and kind of keep rolling? Okay.
Oh my gosh.
So
an hour and a
does
half.
that mean
I say how many more questions do we have?
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to take 2 more final questions, and then we'll have to wrap it up. I don't know where an
we've
hour
been
and a half-
having fun.
I know, I always look at the line in the bookstore and I'm like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? But there's like an adrenaline rush involved when you're interacting with the people. And I feel it whether we're on camera or whether we're in person. It's I don't know, it all feels the same to me. So, Katharina, I hope that I'm saying your name right, in New York says, my husband college umpires and has baseball, tennis ball size knots in his hamstrings. They cramp and go into spasms. I've tried using the fascia blaster, but it's too painful on the knots to go deep enough to have any effect. What can I do to help with these horrible knots? Okay, so I'm gonna give you the best answer, and then I'm gonna say if you don't have these products, I'll give you the backup answer, okay? So the best thing for those, let me give you a good term. These are called contractures, and what it really is, muscles are smooth, right? So they glide when they contract and release. So if they come together and adhere into a knot, that is because of the fascia. So fascia is going to be the solution. It's just how to go about it. So if you have the face blaster is amazing because it starts to just break off those knots a little bit at a time. When I say break off, I don't literally mean break off. I just mean like the fascia on the top, and then it gets a little bit lower, and it helps
Smooths out like a hair tangle.
Yeah, smoothing it out like a hair tangle. It's like taking the knot like this and kind of whisking it with the fascia blaster. But the claws on the face are really good for those severe contractures. Like I tend to get
the face blaster.
Yeah, like beyond down here, which is what he's talking about with the knots, if you have knots. So if you have the face blaster, I would start with the face blaster on the actual knot, and then I would use the full size, going over it just very light and brisk, because then that way you're gonna be flushing blood to the area and whatnot. If you don't have the face, you can still use the regular fascia blaster and go light and brisk. And then where is my fascia blaster? You can actually start to do trigger point with the end of it, which I love. So wherever, like if this is his hamstring, you literally would poke and just hold, okay? So that's what you can do if you have this one. So light and brisk till it turns really, really red. Not like a painful, but just long strokes and super fast and light, and then take the end of the blaster and just literally hold it.
Just hold it.
Just hold it. Yep. Or you can
for how long? Is that like a 5 minute maybe?
I mean, the short answer is until it starts to kind of give way.
But so they could look to do it for 5 to 15 minutes.
And even with if you have the Mini 2, you can kind of do like little dots with the pointy end. But if all you have is the big one, you can push it in and kind of wiggle it around, and then go back and blast it, and then poke and wiggle it around, and then blast it and poke and wiggle it around, and then blast it again. I mean, basically what you're trying to do is wrangle the tissue. So my best advice is just keep trying things until something
and heat,
works.
Obviously.
Yep.
And maybe with some like that arnica cream before? Maybe
No, not really. It's more heat. If you haven't tried it with heat, put hot packs on the area or have him get in a sauna or something like that. But hamstring knots are something that this absolutely can fix. You just might need the right technique. We can also, if you inbox us, we can send you the tutorials for that where you can watch it on video. It's probably better than my live display here.
That's pretty good.
But I will also say this, when you're working with the hamstrings or other parts of your body, you just have to understand that that's all connected in a line. So if you have the book, you can actually go to the section where you're seeing the lines of structural fascia, and anything that grazes through the hamstrings, such as the calves or low back or glutes, or even sometimes the shoulders, if you address that entire line, I've worked on a shoulder and all of a sudden someone's pelvis felt better, you know what I mean? So what I would say is make sure that you do, the whole line of fascia with the Fascia Blaster. And again, light and fast and quick strokes.
Okay, I think we have one final question, and it's from Iris. I have a deep scar on my right inner thigh from an accident which resulted in gangrene.
I can relate.
I lost muscle, so I have a depression in that area. Can I use the nugget around the scar area to try to build that area up?
That's a great question. So the question is how much, because I struggle with this with my hip replacement scar, and I actually, like you, had an infection where they used a pituitary ringer and dug it out. So I understand the loss of muscle mass, but I can also tell you that just the fact that you have a scar and you have fascia around that, that could actually be choking out the muscle. So I wouldn't give up on quote unquote using activation and muscle exercises, like the squeezes, bent leg and straight leg to actually build the muscle back up. There's a chance that it's alive and just being choked out. So I would definitely say do that. The second thing that I would say is there's a great video that we have where I talk about how to dig out a dent, and it's the same thing of how to dig out a scar. And again, if you inbox us, we can send you the link to all of these. But I talk about it's almost like shoelaces, right? That's what holds the shoe down, and you can go in and actually kind of pluck it up. So that way you won't have that indentation.
You're so good with the word pictures. I didn't know about the shoelace one.
Yeah, like plucking it up like that. I do it to my scar all the time. I do it to my C-section scar. I do it to my hip scar. If I have a dent that just won't go down, I literally pull it out and try to pluck up underneath it, kind of dig it up. So I understand what she says when she says, I have a depression in that area.
Yep.
So you wouldn't just use it around the scar. You would literally use it on the scar. Mm-hmm. You would pull up underneath it. You would always pre-blast. I'm such a fan of using the face blaster as a prep. Such a fan that I've actually made a big one with the little claws that we're going to do for Black Friday. But it's the order would be, face blast it, get to that first layer, take the big one or the mini 2 that have the bigger claws, keep blasting it, go back with a nugget on the mini 2 tip, pluck it up, blast it again, and then, flush it, nice it. That's the whole system.
There you go.
And again, I think, Iris, when you're looking at scar tissue, it's a process. And if you can just break off a piece of it one night and another piece the next night and another the next, then that's great. It's definitely something worth doing. I have definitely restored my scars. And if you've ever seen other people with hip replacements, it's so deep into the tissue that usually the scar is caving in like this. And if I'll show you my butt later. There's plenty of pictures of my butt online, but I don't have that indentation at all. In fact, I wear a bikini and no one ever asks me what the scar is from because I think it's pretty much not visible. There's no shadows with it or anything like that. And we have one more question that I really want to answer.
We have one more question and the countdown clock, so no pressure. Go.
Where's the countdown clock?
It's 0.
Oh, so that's always. What's your philosophy in life? I think we both should do it, but I know mine because I get asked this question a lot. So I think the philosophy in life is that you should figure out why you're here and get on about it.
And my philosophy is just to treat others the way you want to be treated, love others as you love yourself, and always stay connected to something greater than yourself.
It's a great way to end the live feed. Ladies, thank you, or men, I don't know who all's joining us, but I hope we have a new audience, and I hope that you got a sense of who Joanna and I are, and a sense of what the book's about and what the products are about. And tell the live feeders on Facebook to keep it going because I'll give out some more prizes. But for this amazing live signing, I didn't know this existed. I think it's the coolest thing
thank
ever.
You, live signing.
I hope you guys feel like you got to come in my home and hang out with me. That's the way I feel about it for sure. My final thoughts are you guys jump in. It's worth it. The book is inexpensive. It's literally like for bang for your buck, so to speak. I can't imagine giving yourself a better gift than that. Yeah. And if anybody is wondering, the Fascia Blaster is less than $100. So we're not talking about something that's unattainable for the common man or woman.
Totally.
Which I'm really proud of.
Totally, totally worth it. And if you're not a part of the group, join the group, the Fascia Blaster group on Facebook, and
look for the one that has 200 and something thousand members.
250,000. And also, if you want information about the book tour, It's ashleyblackguru.com/events. So for now, if you want to purchase a signed copy, go to thecellulitebook.com. I'm sure that link is all over the feed. And so we want to say thank you.
Yes.
Good night.
And to
happy
all of our
blasting.
buyers, thank you so much for putting us on the bestseller list. It really pushed the movement forward, and I'm eternally grateful to each and every one of you.
And we're supposed to wave now. Goodbye.